Welcome, everyone, to the Power of Intentional Partnerships, the mini-series that is a result of our CEPHR value of agility, and where I have the distinct honor of welcoming and highlighting our incredible partners here. I'm Tiffany Castano, and I'm CEO and founder of CEPHR, and I'm going to be sharing all of these amazing folks with you. This is our fifth episode here, so we have a new wonderful guest and partner, but just wanted to share with you the premise of this mini-series, and really it was born out of our own value of agility, where I was having a conversation with a different partner, like, we should probably showcase our work. And so really the intent here is, if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're self-led and you're working in a position at a company, we want to talk about how do we collaborate with other folks? What is the power of creating intentional partnerships? So this mini-series is dedicated to the partnerships that I have here at CEPHR, but also the wonderful opportunity and learning for you all to share the highlights of what these partners are doing out there in their work and in their communities, the work that we do together, which is such a gift. I am so honored to be able to do that. So if you're considering exploring a partnership, or as you start or scale your business, I know that partnerships have been a key growth hack for CEPHR. And if you might be curious, what does that look like? What are the secret ingredients? How do I do this? What makes it work? Well, hopefully these have been helpful for you. So whether you're here on Team Live, hello, or Team Replay, hello, we are streaming here to LinkedIn as well as to YouTube. And so I want to help get you to know our current guest today. And so that is Chason Forehand, and he is founder of hr-4uinc, a nonprofit organization that's breaking down employment barriers. hr-4uinc is a charitable 501c3 nonprofit on a mission to remove the roadblocks that create barriers to finding living wage employment for all communities. They are doing such great work. Chason and his team of staff and partners are affecting change through creating meaningful relationships. And when I tell you this man and his team are doing the most good, it is quite the understatement. So why don't we go ahead and bring Chason on up? Chason, welcome. And hey, Maria.
Wow, that was outstanding. That was outstanding.
Tell us more.
I don't deserve such a great introduction like that. That's unbelievable.
I don't deserve you.
Come on.
Tell us more about what you're doing over there.
You're amazing. So I appreciate you. Here we go.
Yes, we got to do our player. We got our
CEPHR on. This is it. I feel like we should have music in the background like this. There's something missing. And we're gonna, I got it. That
was the best CEPHR t-shirt showcase, by the way. And if you haven't picked up yet, the t-shirts are a part of the Power of Intentional Partnerships.
Absolutely.
So we love to wear our swag. And
these are fantastic.
Oh my gosh. I just gave them a preview of what is all going on. And even being a partner, I can't even explain all of the things that you're doing. I'm still learning. It's like you're coming in hot. There's so much rapid fire things happening, but toward pay equity and just the work that you are doing and this partner network that you continue to grow. Tell us about that, because I can't do that justice.
Well, I will tell you this. The original plan when we started out in June, when we started creating last year in April, that we were going to make this a reality. And I came up with our board, which they are fantastic. We have 3 board members, and they are, holding down the fort and really taking care of us in a whole nother way. And I can talk about that later, but we decided, really June was when we were going to get our website together, and that was all me. I was creating it, and we were failing forward left and right. We were just like stumbling through, like, we're going to do all this stuff and we're going to put it out there. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to put it out there anyway, so people can see what we're doing and what we're about. And our first 3 programs, which you're part of, are being an employer partner, being a leader partner, and us giving out information, true information with a backup, all of data. So our data backup of what's going on from a standpoint of unemployment and homelessness and poverty, et cetera, and what we're doing to affect that and what our partners are doing to affect that. And we originally started out saying, hey, you know what? We want to have 1,000 partners and we're going to do. And it was about crunching the numbers and trying to find people that wanted to lend their voice and stand with us. And I really started realizing very quickly that it needs to be about the quality of the partners, not how many we have.
Mm.
And so we're at 56 partners now, which is unbelievable. And the 56 partners, like CEPHR, excuse me, are people that are breaking down barriers and creating change and doing the great work on a daily basis. And so my job as I see as the founder is to have a microphone and a flashlight and a megaphone and be shining this light on companies like yours and people like you to say, here's what we're doing and here's what collaboration means and here's how together with these 56 partners and the people that are affected by these 56 partners, which is tremendous,
Yes.
how we can break down barriers and create actionable real change. So when we talk about that, we say, oh, well, you know what? It's great, but what are you really doing? Here's an impact point for you. We started our website in June. We launched it. This guy, who is not a website designer, launched the website, creating it on his own through Bluehost. And we had, between June and December 31st, over 90,000 people come to our website, and over 46,000 people unique visitors come to our partners pages to check out people like you, Tiffany, and say, I want to know what they're doing, and I want to know what he's talking about, and I want to know why they're creating change and what they're doing. So if we had no other metrics, if we didn't have any other metrics whatsoever, without spending a dime in marketing, without taking a single cent from our programs, for that alone, for the intentionality of talking on a daily basis through all these different social media things, again, failing forward, just to keep talking about the mission and the vision and the purpose and our great partners, that alone, I'm just like, okay, yes, I'll take it. I'll take those kind of metrics. So I'm thrilled that people care and that they want to know more, and they realize that people matter, and that the way to get more businesses to believe in that is to look at businesses from a people first standpoint and really put people first in your business. And that's what our partners do. They're either employers that live that way and put people first, or they're people like you that are leader partners that are teaching it on a daily basis. They're teaching diversity and equity and belonging and inclusion and engagement and how the ROI of putting people first. So hats off to you. Forget what I'm just here. I'm just here with I got my little flashlight.
Yeah, I was like, please don't.
You thought I was going to do it for a second, didn't you? You thought that camera was like everybody's going to be blinded, but no.
Right. I'm like, does it work that way? This is not something I've tested out in technology.
No. I know better. It's all right.
Yeah, I think that would be not good. I love that. I love what was it? The flashlight, and what was the other thing?
Megaphone and microphone.
Megaphone. Yes. I use that emoji a lot because it is about amplifying voices and elevating. And you do that so well. From like the Monday partner shout outs to the Friday, the Funky Fridays, giving us some fun things with the roller skates. I don't even know if I can skate anymore. But just like, I really appreciate all of the effort that you put in. And it's so evident that you really really believe in it. And I appreciated you hosting myself and Dr. Ann Risto on your podcast as well. So we could talk about what are these things with diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, just these important conversations that I think we need to humanize the people first, as you said, and figuring out, how do we collaborate with others so that we can strengthen, because together is better. And that's something that I just admire about what you're doing. I know this has not been an easy feat, but the impact that you just shared with us, those numbers of the website, I'm like, I don't think in 3 years I've gotten those impressions. So you're doing something right, and I celebrate that. So I hold up the megaphone and the flashlight for you too, my friends.
All right. I love it. I love it.
How about that? Why, Chason, why is this work? Like, why does it speak to you? Why does it call you? What excites you about it? And what are you hoping? What kind of impression are you hoping to leave on the world by doing this work through the
Well,
partner?
I tell you what, that really is my 30,000-foot view end goal, is that I want this to be something that we create, that it doesn't matter what happens to Chason Forehand. It goes on and on and on, well beyond me and my voice, and continues to grow with or without me, because that is the most important legacy that I could possibly leave, is to create something that is going to just dynamically and organically continue to do what it should do. And that's impact lives. And the reason for all of this is because I've had a weird journey. And when I say that, we all have our stories. And I certainly wouldn't spend the time here to go through all the sob stuff and try to make people cry with all of the things that I went through from childhood and being homeless and stuff that I've done, even to myself. But I spent, instead of being someone that maybe intentionally spent decades within the nonprofit world, I volunteered. I grew up as a chef. And then that transitioned into retail outside of food. So culinary world is food retail. And, then that grew into other things that were other parts of retail. And then that grew into human resources. So early on in my life, when there weren't HR teams in small restaurant chains and people that were chef owners with maybe 100 employees, I was the friendly guy that trained people and learned quickly myself. So they were like, hey, we want you to hire, or hey, we want you to train this guy, or hey, do you have suggestions for X, Y, and Z? And that grew all through my career to where it became something where I have my own human resources company, HR Consultations, where I work specifically with social good organizations and people that are transition military personnel that have their own companies. I specifically am geared towards that and helping those organizations. And that's just something that's near and dear to my heart. And then I can pick and choose now what clients I want to take. But at the same time I'm doing that, hr-4u is my baby, and it is the thing that I wanted to create, because I live in an area that is below the poverty line, and I see in my neighborhood and in places around us how people are struggling. They are being pushed out, and they're degentrified in areas, and there is not pay equity, and we're in a state that the minimum wage is not living wage, and where other nonprofits are trying to do great work, but we are missing getting to enough people. And so when we created this, we wanted to get to the heart of who's making decisions. And the people making decisions are the employers. There is a human being or a group of human beings, a board of directors, that are in charge of these companies, and they just don't care enough to make sure that everybody's being taken care of. They don't care about diversity. They don't care about living wage. They don't care what's happening to their employees. And when you have places like that, that's when you start to see places that send those emails where they punch a button and 4,000 people just get fired. They wake up in the morning thinking they're going to go and do the job to take care of their family and put food on the table. And they wake up to an email saying, don't bother coming in. That's not, to me, that's not how the world needs to work. And when you look at Forbes magazine and Harvard Business School and all these other places that have done all this major research on what it means to put people first and how successful companies can be by doing so, to me, it's a head scratcher where I'm just like, I don't quite understand why everyone isn't doing this. Why are we having conversations in 2023 about diversity? Why isn't this just a thing? And even after the tipping point of 2020, we still are fighting box checkers and people that are just like, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that, but I'm not really gonna have diversity. I'm not really gonna care about pay equity. I'm not really gonna care about living wage, because at the end of the day, I only care about me and making money and making my board money. We've got to stop that. And the only way is to have partners like you and partners like the other 55 that we have, 56 total partners, all focused and working to try to break down barriers and create change, positive change, no rhetoric, no Band-Aids. Let's get to the heart of it. Let's fix this, because we've got to change people's minds, and that's not an easy thing. So that's why I'm passionate about it, because I've seen it as I grew up, and I worked in corporate and in non-corporate jobs, but had been working since I was 15. And I have seen the good, the great, the bad, the ugly, and I want people to wake up in this community here and not be afraid of where the next meal is going to come from, and not be afraid of how they're going to pay for the things that they have to have. So that's a change that we need to create, and that we can create in every single community. And it's just a matter of changing our mindset and putting the focus on people over everything else.
Yeah. People over profit, right? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. Where do I start with all of
I had to step down. I had to take that ladder down from that soapbox I was on and to climb on down.
Oh, I love a good soapbox, so we can keep climbing. I think that's so amazing, though. And you talked about this performative nature of what often happens, and that's the beauty of the partner network that you've built out specifically. And you are unique as a partner in that way. All the other partners are kind of single other entrepreneurs, such as myself. And you've built out this great collaborative of folks who can really help support each other, but also support the great work and the mission, the impact that you're looking to make, the outcomes. And everyone's focused on making sure that happens. Everyone's values are aligned with yours. And so Maria has a question too that I think lends well into what I'm sharing now, that you shared, in that, how are each of these partners delivering to expectations? They, have these shared values, but how do you know? How do you know what their values are? Are you stalking our pages? Like, I know there's a little bit of that research. Tell us, for people who are looking, how do I vet a partner? What does it look like?
No, that's actually a great question. I get asked this a lot. And it's different from the employer partners to the leader partners. So it's a great question. So I want to break it down like this. If you're an employer partner, that means you have anywhere from 1 to 5,000. We don't care if you hire one person a year or you hire 5,000 people a day. If you're an employer partner, there's a couple of things that matter to us. One, that you actively are working to make diversity something that is just not a checkbox in your company. And that needs to be seen in what you're doing, how people perceive you, what you're talking about, the programs that you put in place. And I'm not just saying, okay, I've got an ERG and I've got this going on and I got that going. No, I mean, what are you really doing? And how do people perceive you? And when they're talking about your company, does it come up that, hey, wow, this is a diverse place to work that is very accepting and here's what they're doing? And that's what we want to see. That's one thing. The other thing is, are they paying a living wage? You cannot be an employer partner with us if every single one of your employees are not earning a living wage. So how do we figure that out? There are plenty of places that where you can see like and I even posted about this, where you could see what all goes into finding out a living wage. So when we look at an employer partner, we're really taking the time to go through, are they paying people what they should make? Do they care about diversity? And last but not least, are they going to be the type of employer that their mission, vision, and purpose matches ours? So that's really, really important. I'm going to call out just one. There are 10. So we have 56 partners. 10 of them are employer partners. I'm going to call out one. Scott McGregor has 2 companies, and I'm actually part of one of the companies. He has the Outlier Project, which is a networking group that is a next level. You hear a lot about networking groups, and it's kind of like, okay, and we get together. No, this is a whole nother level of, I mean, you're going to meet people that, like Jason Redmond, who is a SEAL that was injured in combat, that is speaking for all the, TED Talks and all this stuff. And he comes and he's had a conversation with us, talked about his book. So we have book club. We have all of these great conversations that are very high level, where we can learn from these amazing legends. It's our legend series. And then there's also a piece of it where it's more personal, where we have times where we can have almost like breakout groups where we're discussing with each other and we're kind of like, here's what's been going on. And we have that network of support. They have been tremendous, not only in financially supporting us, but sharing our mission, vision, and purpose with other people. And they've got over 600 members globally. So he has the Outlier Project. And then he also has a company called Something New LLC, which is a higher end human resources recruiting firm. And both of those companies are part of our employer partners. And when I say that, not only do they mash everything that we just mentioned, but then some. I mean, Scott McGregor, there are stories and stories. There are people that have actually gone to take videos of, have gone to the video screen to tell stories of how he's gone out of his way to do those little extra things that change people. That's an employer that you want to work for. That's an employer that you want to emulate. That's an employer that really is creating change and breaking down barriers. So Scott, if you're watching this on replay and you see this, I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for us and how wonderful of a partner you are. That's our employer partner piece. Leader partners, because I'm talking to you, so I'm going to talk about you right now. So this is what it's like with a leader partner. A leader partner needs to be teaching other employers, other businesses, how to better serve people. If you don't emulate that, Tiffany Castano, I don't know who does. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm a guy, so I only have like 5 pairs of shoes. So I'm not going to throw my shoe at you, but I'm telling you, you are exactly what we are talking about when we talk about we need leader partners that are changing the world. And that's what you do. You do it on a daily basis. And sometimes you may be in the grind of what you're doing and don't even realize what an impact you have. And I find that a lot with the 46 leader partners that we have, a lot of them don't even realize what an amazing impact they have on the world around them. Alexander Andrews' book, Unlike a Boss, is being taught in schools, and it teaches people how to put people first and not allow toxicity in the workplace. Dustin Dale's 2 books that he has are talking about being a servant leader and what that means and how to be a better leader and be a better captain of the ship. I could go on and on and on and on, but all 56 partners are changing lives and breaking down barriers. And so for me, it makes my life so much easier because I step back, I grab that flashlight again and that megaphone and that microphone, and I just say, look at what's going on. And it's changing the world. Why did 46,000 people find our partners page and say, wow, what are they doing? Why did we have over 700 volunteer hours from June to December 31st? How are we able to pay, how our board of directors are taking care of all of our costs, our administrative costs, and all the money that we've been able to get is going directly to our programs. And for the second year in a row, we have a platinum seal of transparency from Candid GuideStar. There are metrics after metrics after metrics I can give, but I got to say, for a little bitty nonprofit that is we're just chugging along. We're just you look out, here we come. We're going to do our thing. We're just climbing that mountain slow and steady. But it's partners like you, Tiffany, that make the difference and really help us create that change on a daily basis. So
I appreciate
I
that.
hope that answers the question well, but that's what we look at.
Thank you so much. And this Candid, like the pay transparency, that certification, that was something new that I learned too. And what I'm seeing, and I'm sure you have too, because you're also an HR professional, is there is more of a trend and a focus on equity, specifically pay equity. And my thought on this, and I'd love to hear what you're thinking too, is that throughout COVID, people have demanded more. They are expecting different things. Our lives have been upended. They've changed so dramatically. And the status quo is not working for people anymore. It really didn't work then. It wasn't serving us well. It wasn't people first. And now people are saying, I need this to look different. My equity is not everyone's version. Like, we all want that access. But what I need and what you need are 2 different things, and those are definitely things that I'm seeing. And so I've seen more of a focus on pay and all the things that go into it, and helping folks develop their compensation philosophy, what goes into that. I'm working on executive agreements with a client right now in terms of how do I, really look at this from a retention perspective, even for people at the top, because those are the folks who lead. Now we want to balance that out, right? Like we want the payroll to be balanced as much as possible. That we realize that, if you are in the C-suite, you're going to be making more, but that doesn't mean that people, who are on the front lines and your middle managers shouldn't be paid a living wage as well. What thoughts do you have on that?
Well, I think there's a couple things that I want to say. And one is that, yes, I think a lot of things happened in 2020 that just rattled everyone's cages. And what we saw in 2021 is the impact of all of that rattling. And so in 2021 and 2022, here we are, first quarter of 2023, but a lot of things got rattled in 2020. And now there was like this, all right, well, what do we do now? From a business standpoint, people, as you amply said, they finally said, you know what, I'm not going to take it anymore. I don't have to. Now I'm not going to, now my life has been completely changed. My company is shut down. I have to find a new job. All the stimulus stuff that happened just barely helped me survive. And, or even some cases that didn't even help people enough, but they got to a place where they're like, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm not going to do these things like I was doing in the past. It was unhealthy. It was inequitable, and I'm not going to live that way. So they made physical changes. People made changes mentally and physically to what they were going to put up with, what they were going to accept. They started realizing their value. I think you saw this epiphany. I think we're still seeing it, and I think we're going to see even more of it, of these epiphanies of people going, I need to take care of myself. So this self-care revolution, and making sure that my family's taken care of, and that I have time for myself and for my family, and to do things outside of this work. And so there's a lot more places that are either remote or hybrid, or that are looking at how do we value people? What do they want? They're listening more. And that's the big thing for me is, that I had to learn even as being an ally, kind of shifting this conversation slightly, but I had to learn to throw out everything I thought I knew and start unlearning and relearning, and to be a better ally and to be a better listener. And I think that's what companies that are savvy are going to keep doing. And they're going to keep relying on great people and listening to them so that they don't just survive the tough times, but they thrive, because they're going to pour into their people, and they're going to be like, you know what? We've got these tough challenges coming up. Let's all get together. Let's talk. Let's hash this out about how we can make it happen. Because I know you care about your paycheck, and I know you care about your family, and I know you care about, so how do we make this work? What can we do? Because we're losing traction, or I see tough times ahead and I want to get ahead of it. So the savvy leaders are really pouring into their people. They're listening more. They're really sitting down and bringing people to the table to say, your voice matters. And I want you to help us steer this, because with 500, we talked about this with Dustin Dale and Sam Morgan, whether you have 5 people or 5,000 people, if you bring all those minds together and you start saying, hey, you know what do you think about this X, Y, Z, and let people talk and you listen, you're going to come up with you're going to have all of these amazing ideas to help you be more profitable and more savvy and beat the competition and grow, because they care about the job that they do, and they want to be there, and they want you to survive so they can survive. So there's that in my mind. The other part of it is, and this is kind of on the flip side of this, is that I think, unfortunately, especially for women of color and for veteran communities, because that's all races, and for people that are neurodiverse or that have disabilities, which are all races, we're seeing this. I think Shanika McKeever said it best, these concrete ceilings where we're having some kind of pay equity, but there are ceilings. So there's a pay equity up to like middle management, and then there's a breakdown. Or you can go so far, but then you're forced out the door to go someplace else, because there's only so much pay equity, which to me is like box checking. So on the surface, you're going to do some of the work, but you're not going to do all of it. And that, whether it's diversity, whether it's pay equity, whether it's living wage, whether it's pouring into your people, either do the work or don't do the work.
That's the quote, folks. Do the work or not, but you have to do the work.
Do the work. You got to do the work. So
yeah.
those are,
I'm surprised surprised but not that we are still in a day and age where people don't want to do the work or they want to check those boxes. We're still pencil whipping through folks' performance evaluations as if that doesn't connect to those opportunities for their career, for mentorship, for their development, for higher wages, for living wages, even.
Oh,
And just it's like you and I can see, and we're trying to hold that mirror up for folks. And, strategy is going to eat the status quo for breakfast all day. You're not going to be able to, I love that phrase because I stand on my soapbox loud and proud when it comes to strategy and all things equity. And just, it's really baffling to me when you meet so much resistance to sharing, hey, you want to think about it this way, or this is what, because I've been in HR for 15 years. You've been in HR for a long time. These partners collectively, how many years of experience do we have?
yeah,
And yet each of us probably has at least one story
at
of
least.
meeting that resistance of not wanting to partner with HR, not wanting to have those listening ears, not understanding that you have to connect things to a strategy, saying, oh, that's how we've always done it, or hiring the DEIB consultant because that's what looks good, or putting certain people's faces on there, or not supporting or making accommodations for our folks with disabilities, or even having a clue what to do with that, or trying to explore any of these things. And that's the stuff that keeps me up at night, honestly, as an HR practitioner, and at the individual intersections that I sit with, that, my own partners and colleagues, my friends, my loved ones. There's just so much out there that could be impacted by it. And I just can't, for the life of me, figure out why we're still having these conversations, but we're committed, right? We're committed
That's
to it.
right. That's right.
I love how you talked about too the self-care revolution, because that at a time when burnout is an all-time high, y'all are probably
Yep.
tired of me talking about this burnout conference, but it is something that if you flip your page or scroll through social media or at your places of work, you can't get around not
It's
seeing
everywhere.
that
It's
it's
everywhere. Yep.
everywhere, because we all are impacted by it.
Yep.
And things like we're talking about with paying living wages, making a commitment, a true commitment, and doing the work. It's the learning and unlearning that you talked about, Jason. Those are the things that move the needle on engagement and retention. And why I always describe it as not ruining people from their employment experiences, because truly
Yeah.
I've been very open about going through 2 depressions from a job. I still today have traumas that pop up for me unexpected from corporate environments, and we don't realize how much people are getting ruined in those processes. And it's
Yeah.
why we've seen things like the great resignation and quiet quitting and all our favorite buzzwords and terms. But whether or not you like those, and I don't love them, the crux of it is treat your people right, and they'll want to stay with you. Highlight what you're doing well and do it
Yes.
right. Show them you're putting in the work, and they will stay with you. But if you do the opposite, I'm real bold in my views. Like I say, you deserve to lose them. You do, because you don't deserve them there in the first place. And if you're doing shady stuff, or you're lying and saying you're
Yeah.
doing one thing, and I still see it to this day, it is it's not good. We shouldn't be ruining people. So yes to
No.
self-care revolution. Take care of yourselves, people, because nobody else is going to do that like you can.
No. No. And those look from a young scrappy kid who was in Manhattan, and the way you got ahead when I was a kid, and I was making what $3 an hour, 3.10 an hour my first job, but the way you got ahead was I worked myself to death. I worked. It was nothing to be in the culinary realm and work 60, 80 hours. You're picking up shifts because someone else called out, so you were the guy who showed up or the girl who showed up, and you the person who showed up, and you ended up being promoted because you were consistent and you were stellar and you were positive and you did all the right things, and you still made mistakes, but you made less than other people. So, being from that culture and growing up the way I did, where that hustle, you had to hustle that way if you wanted to get ahead. And, I grew up thinking that that was the way everybody should work. And so I think about my young HR days, even though I wasn't technically in HR, but I was. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it was HR at the time, but you're hiring people and you're looking at laws. And I studied so that I could figure out, what I needed to do. But those days of taking people, out back to the dumpster to have a come to Jesus meeting, those days are over. And, it's, this evolution of, how do we care for people, and how do we put ourselves in a leadership position where we're putting people first. So we're taking responsibility
Mm.
ourselves for, hey, they're failing, so I'm failing. And how am I'm not doing a very good job of training or teaching or getting the message across. Where's the breakdown? So I like that, some of our partners like Leslie Nidek talk about conflict. And the real thing is being internalizing and saying in my mind, as a leader, you are responsible to lift up all your people. If you care about your people, you're going to learn about your people. You're going to learn about who they are, how they learn, how they process information, how they like to communicate, what triggers them, and what motivates them, so that you can be a better leader and you can pour into them and you can listen and get more ideas. And that's where you start to grow, and that's where your team starts to gel. And I think of my early days, and what a horrible job I did of just, being the guy with the hammer, like, we're going to do this and we're going to make this happen. And to be, and most people, they hear that, they go, I don't see you doing that, Chason. But I was that, I was that Titan, like, we're going to make this happen, to now it's like, all right, let's talk about this, because I'm obviously failing you. And
Mm.
that's a big shift when you learn that you're responsible and that you need to listen as a leader. Um, Lindsay Dowd, Elisa Southall, Felicia Ward. There's a bunch of our partners that talk about this. But when you learn the lesson of talking less and listening more, and putting the onus on yourself to help your people grow and learn and be productive, then you're going to create amazing changes. And
Yeah.
I really hope that my hope really through all of this is that we keep impacting leaders on a daily basis, so that we can have this growth, this explosion of change, where more and more companies care about pouring into their people and care less about just numbers. Numbers are important, and you can't survive if you're not if you're not profitable, but you can be profitable by pouring into people and listening and really directing them and allowing them to be part of what you're doing. So I think it's just a change in mindset. And I think we want more and more people to be in that realm and to learn that. So
Yeah, and you're doing the great work to make it happen. And I so appreciate that. Active listening is a core value of mine, and thus it became of CEPHR's, because I love this trend that we're seeing, that people are listening differently, but also we have to lead with empathy. We have to lead with all those beautiful things you just shared. And we do have a great responsibility. It's like gremlins. With Mogwai comes great responsibility. And I always say the same is true for leadership. It really is. And some people want to be that titan and they want to put the hammer down and they want to do all this. Well, that's not exactly going to work in today's day and age. And you also can't be reactive. We have to be proactive. And the reason we have a team is because we're greater together. It's better together than any one of us can create. And through your partnership and, through this network, you've really been able to do that. And I watch you model this. And it's one of the things that I see you emulate in the CEPHR values is listening. The way you can rattle off the top of your head when you have 56 partners, what they do, and right off the top of your head, it'll come, a name, Felicia Ward, Scott McGregor, whoever it is. You exude that and your passion comes through, and what you pour into us means so much. And I can speak for myself, but I am pretty sure, especially since we had that fun partner party, that everybody else can say it too. And I hope we have another one too.
Yes, we've got to have one coming up. So I think we're looking at maybe June-ish.
Fun. Fun. It's such a great group of folks. And, under your leadership, thank you just for everything you're doing, for supporting CEPHR, supporting me as an individual, and just all of our partners. I really, really appreciate it. What do you hope to continue building? I think you talked about it from your side, from hr-4u, and your personal vision. If there's anything else you want to share, or other things that folks can support, or that you want to hope to build with CEPHR, please let us know.
Well, we're always excited to bring on new partners. Suman Kapoor just joined us, and we're being very intentional now about, it's not about numbers, it's about the quality of the individuals we're bringing in. Mm-hmm. So that's always exciting. I love her to death. I've had multiple conversations with her before we actually brought her in, and that was because she wanted to ask a lot of questions, and it was great. It was great to be challenged and to be asked those questions, so that she was sure that this was a good mesh for her, and we were sure that she was a good mesh for us. Mm-hmm. But beyond our employer partners, our leader partners, and the information that we get out, one of the most aggressive things that we're doing this year that I really hope that we can raise enough funds to get it done is Transformation Kitchen. In my lifetime, and as a culinary person, and I still have multiple certifications, but as a person that has been part of a couple of different programs where we taught culinary skills to people that had been in the underserved communities, formerly incarcerated, had battled with homelessness or addictions, had been unemployed for long periods of time, and needed the empowerment to change their lives. And I also needed some soft skills and some, let's get some help in there to kind of give you some guidance, not just, hey, here's some teaching, here's a job for you, good luck to you. No, let's follow up and let's give you some soft skills to help manage that as well. And whether you come to work for us or you go to another partner to go work, you're going to make at least, if not better than, a living wage. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about the training, it's about life and moving forward. So Transformation Kitchen, and we want to do the first one I'm really hoping to do it in this area, in Newburgh, New York, Poughkeepsie. I have 3 locations, and I'm gonna be doing some videos about this. My wife's gonna film. I've got some chef gear coming, and we're gonna do some stuff with chef gear and some knives. And then I'm gonna do another one outside one of the buildings, and I'm gonna challenge people to donate. To maybe don't take that latte that morning and give $5, but we are going to challenge everybody to help us make that a reality, because it's a lot to get going up and running, but we want to do it. So Transformation Kitchen is our biggest program to date. It's the most aggressive, and we need the most money for it, but we're working towards that goal. And I can't wait to do the videos. One of my favorite locations, and I don't want to spoil it, but one of my favorite locations just automatically came with like its own marketing hashtag. Like it just fell in my lap, like with this marketing.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, Lord must be talking to me. You must be saying something, because I don't know what's happening here, but I was like, wow. So I am all about walking through open doors, even if I'm not
Mm,
prepared to do it. And that's what
mm,
the whole journey, this entire journey with HR4U Incorporated has been walking through doors, even if we're really not prepared, failing forward, learning, and just driving towards the mission. So,
mm.
and it's it's people like you. It's people like you, Tiffany.
I love
So
it.
I
Together's
think
better. You're doing the Lord's work. So that's, when those doors are open, we have to be ready to walk through because that's how CEPHR started. I was not prepared for this, but the path was created and there was a real strong tug on the shoulder. And I was like, all right, God, I hear you. He's
all
like,
right.
and go. And I'm like,
Let's go.
mission
Let's go.
accepted. And that's why I love doing this work with you too. Not that everybody has to share our faith, but I really appreciate that aspect of our partnership as well. So, how can folks find you? Do you have any last minute tips for anyone on partnerships? And if they wanted to make a donation, where could they go?
Well, you could either text GIVE, GIVE, to 914-281-2170, or you can go to our website, which is hr hyphen or dash the number 4, the letter u.org, and hit our donation page up. Here's the great thing, people. Not only is it tax deductible, but every single dime you give goes towards our programs. Our board of directors pays for our administrative costs. So all of us are volunteers, and every dime you give to us goes to creating programs like Transformation Kitchen. So I don't know, but that sounds like a good deal to me. So anyway, those are the ways that you can get with us. If you're interested in becoming a partner, hit me up. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Yes, Jason is very active if you haven't caught that already on LinkedIn. He just gave you more ways that you can give. We'll make sure we put that in the comments as well for you. Just even hearing that is such an impact. And I just thank you, my friend, for being amazing, for being a partner, for having me and the CEPHR team as a partner. I just thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions for Chason specifically or for me specifically, if you want to learn more about striking up a partnership or what that looks like, or all the questions that Chason shared that he gets sometimes from partners who are in pursuit, which I think is just wonderful to explore those questions. We should know what we're taking on before we do it. So that is a tip that I'm sure both of us would share out for all of you. But thanks for joining, whether you're on live or replay. And Chason, thank you for sharing your heart and your lovely mind with us today. we enjoy having you as a partner, and I'm looking forward to what's next for us. And thanks for your time. CEPHR in the house, CEPHR out. Take care, my friend. Bye.